Almost every car brand is known for a specific type of car. These car types aren't very well defined though. Is this a supercar, a coupe, a GT? I don't know. Could be any of them. Regardless though, there's multiple car types, and we're gonna go over the most popular ones to find out which car brand has the biggest hold over them. Let's take the car type hatchback for example. Now again, you can't technically define a hatchback down to the exact definition, but it's widely agreed that a hatchback is a shorter wagon. Of course, then you could say, well, what's a wagon? And the answer would be that it's a longer hatchback. But when you're on this topic, you've got to ignore the paradoxes. Most car brands have or currently do make a hatchback. Maybe not sole performance brands as much, but even Ferrari has the Purosangue, which is almost a hatchback. Technically an SUV, but whatever. So are there any car brands that make only hatchbacks? Yes, kind of. Mini technically makes a crossover, the Countryman, but other than that, it's just hatchbacks. And Mini's mainly made hatchbacks for a long time. Even the Countryman is similar to a hatchback despite not quite being one. No other brand I can think of is so widely known and so focused on hatchbacks specifically. There's obviously other hatchbacks you might think of before a Mini, but as a brand, I think they're the best option. So then what about the closely related wagon that has been decided is different from the shorter hatchback? You've got the option of picking from the most beloved current wagons, for example the RS6, and Audi as a whole would be a nice choice. They've got all of the RS Avants over the years, like the RS2 Avant, which established the concept of a super wagon. That being said, I both want to use Audi for a car type later on in the video and think there's another brand that beats it in this category. That brand is Volvo. In my mind, Volvo is the wagon brand. They've always kind of made wagons, and they still do. They might not have quite the performance that Audi's wagons have or BMW's, but they still have performance capabilities, and performance isn't everything anyways. Performance might not be everything for a wagon, but it is everything for a mid-engine sports car. A sports car, by the way, is what I'm using to refer to any performance coupe, basically. That means supercars and hypercars along with just regular sports cars. Grand Tours could be included in this too, I think. So mid-engine sports cars. There's a lot of options. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, kind of. But I think the best option is McLaren. Why is that? Well, Ferrari's made a front-engine car before. A lot of them, actually. Obviously, they're also well known for mid-engine cars, but it's not their only focus like McLaren, which has never made a car that isn't mid-engine. Same thing for Lamborghini, which makes a much higher concentration of mid-engine cars when compared to Ferrari, but still has a history of front-engine cars. The Urus is the most modern example, which, you know, it's an SUV, but it's still a Lamborghini, so I have to count it. Aston Martin has the Valhalla and Valkyrie, which are mid-engine, but most of their cars are and historically have been front engine, so I don't want to count them for this category as a brand. Which brings me to the next category, front-engine sports cars. And like I just said, Aston Martin is big in the realm of front-engine sports cars and GT cars. Besides the Valkyrie and Valhalla, all of their cars are front-engine. Even the DBX, which again, that's an SUV, not a sports car, but you know, front-engine, I just think it helps the case. I can't really think of any major performance brands that focus as much on front-engine cars as Aston Martin does. Rear-engine sports cars. The last of the sports car specific car types I have in this video. To me, there's only one obvious choice, and that's Porsche. I know it's all thanks to the 911 and not really Porsche's brand as a whole, but to be fair, the 911 is kind of Porsche's main identity. And what brand has an entire lineup of rear-engine sports cars anyways? Actually, come to think of it, what brand even has a rear-engine sports car these days? I genuinely can't think of any besides the 911. I mean, I know there's other modern rear-engine sports cars, but I can't think of any. Like, I know they exist, they can't be that popular if I can't think of it. Because I can think of every single car in existence. Even the one you just thought of. That one, what you just thought of, the Audi TT, I thought of that. That's gonna work for like one guy who thought of the Audi TT, and he's gonna think I'm a genius. Anyways, if I'm missing an obvious rear-engine modern sports car, let me know in the comments. Quick interruption, please subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying. If you don't, you should feel like you did something bad. If you don't want to feel like you did something bad, then subscribe and like the video. I'm just kidding, you don't have to feel bad, but you should subscribe. I said the rear-engine sports cars were the last of the performance car categories, but I kind of lied, because there's one more performance category. Kind of. It's the shooting brake. I guess they're not all performance cars, but still. The shooting brake isn't a common car type at all, so all we have to do is find any brand that's made more than like one model and just use that. Unfortunately, there's two brands that we could choose, Aston Martin and Ferrari. Well, we've already used Aston Martin, and Ferrari has made more shooting brakes anyways, I think. Actually, don't quote me on that. So Ferrari is my choice for this one. The next category is a super common car type, the sedan. A sedan is simply a four-door car with a separated trunk, or at least that's the definition that I'm going to use for this video. Again, practically every brand has a sedan. It's like the car type. If you think of a car, it's probably a sedan or a supercar or something, but you know, sedan's up there. In my mind, German cars are the staple of the sedan. Japanese brands have it down as well, but I don't think they're as known for sedans specifically. Out of the German brands we can choose from, there's Audi, which I'd rather use for a different category in a second, Mercedes, which is a really good choice, but I think BMW is better. Mercedes makes and has made some really recognizable sedans, but they also focus on other stuff like, you know, more SUVs and supercars than BMW. So for that reason, I think BMW is the best choice for the sedan. Obviously, BMW is pretty well known for coupes and SUVs as well, but who doesn't know the 3 or the 7 series? Another car type that's very similar to the sedan is the Fastback, specifically the Fastback sedan, but these days most Fastbacks are sedans anyways. The first car you might think of is the Mustang. I mean, go Google Fastback and it'll show you only pictures of the Mustang Fastback. Probably because it's in the name, but still. That's not Ford's main identity though, and Mustang isn't a brand, it's just a model. So I don't think Ford is the choice for this category. The brand I will choose is Audi, because of their modern cars like the A7, B9, A5 Sportback, and I mean, the new A6 e-tron, I guess. Sure, that's only a few models, but those cars, especially the A7 and A5, are pretty popular. And Mercedes could be a good choice for this one too, but I think Audi takes the win. Pickup truck. Big truck, pickup, America truck. Pick up a truck. My bad, don't know what happened there. Pickup trucks are synonymous with America. And what brand is synonymous with America? Ford. Plus, the F-150 is still the most popular truck in the United States, and I think globally as well. Again, don't quote me on that. I don't actually know. Quite possibly the exact opposite car type as the pickup truck is the microcar. Instead of being built to carry a lot of stuff, the microcar can barely carry the person driving it. The first car I thought of was the Smart 42, but apparently they don't make those anymore. I mean, we could still choose Smart even if they don't technically make microcars these days, but I think there's probably other brands that do currently make microcars that we could choose instead. Okay, just did a bunch of really good research. Definitely didn't just think for 10 seconds and come up with something. Fiat still makes the 500, or I guess it's the 500e now. It's definitely a little bit larger than the Smart 42, but as far as I know, it's a microcar nonetheless. Plus, I think the Fiat 500 is like a more recognizable car than the Smart 42, I think. I don't know, so I'm choosing Fiat for microcar. There's a few more car types you could include, like SUVs and I don't know, limousines or something, but those aren't that interesting. Of course, let me know if you disagree with any, because none of this video is objective, it's all subjective. And if you enjoyed, consider subscribing if you aren't already, and also like the video. But if you don't, I'll probably let it slide.